folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. I'm dubbing what's going on in California a liberal inferno. First and foremost, prayers to everybody in Southern California. This is a disaster. It looks apocalyptic, what is going on there. So I want to say, first and foremost, God bless every one of you out there. I hope you all get out safely. We've learned of 2 deaths at the time of this live podcast here on Wednesday morning. A number of injuries, some firefighters hurt as well. All made possible by a lack of liberal leadership and a quest to push diversity, equity, and inclusion, a quest to fire firefighters, fire them, can them for not taking the experimental COVID vaccine. We've got at least 24 firefighters who have not returned to work because of that. Wouldn't it be great to have them back now? It is a disaster, to say the least, in that area. I mean, folks, just watch this. Look at the flames. I mean, this is as bad as it gets. It's lapping against their window.
You're gonna be okay. Hi. You're gonna be okay.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, don't worry about that, dude.
You need to get out of there.
Oh, shit.
They ultimately leave. But it's frightening to watch this video. Your home surrounded.
Plastic is gone, dude.
Yeah.
Why? Okay.
Beautiful house.
The one already?
Yeah. Oh, shit.
And that wind is whipping.
So, where's the gas?
Outside?
Okay, the gas is off right now.
Folks, that is what the people of California are up against. And again, there's no water in the fire hydrants in many of these areas. I'll explain to you why that's happening. We've got a fire chief in LA who's more proud about being LGBTQ and trying to hire women and gay people than they are about fighting fires. We know that Gavin Newsom had basically shut down the ability to catch rainwater and snow melt because they want to protect the Delta smelt, this fish. Now, people don't have water to fight these fires. You've got forest management, which is basically non-existent in California. President Trump talked about that when he was in office the last time around. All of it's really, really bad. We're going to get into all of it. I'm going to prove all of it to you, show you some of the insane video through it all. And the reason I'm focused on this is because not only is it one of the worst natural disasters, I think, to hit California, and this is something like I've never seen before, but I wanna focus on it because it really shows what happens when you put liberals in charge, all right? Before we get to that, I want to thank my sponsors, Energized Health, energizedhealth.com/grant. This is about cellular hydration, getting hydrated from a cellular level. This is what I have done. All right, look at this. I am 56 years old. I think. I don't even remember how old I am. 56 years old. I'm in the shape of my life. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks on the Energized Health system. They now have this 555 challenge. I urge you to get involved in this. $5, 5 days, 5 pounds, guaranteed. And it'll show you what intercellular hydration can really do. The founders have helped me really change my life. Total mind, body, soul program, and they've got all the tools to do it, from individual coaching, Zoom calls, daily videos, the program, all backed by science. I'm telling you, if you want to take your life back, if you want help sticking to this New Year's resolution, get with Energized Health, energizedhealth.com. Again, my555challenge.com is another website you can go to, but it's great stuff. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. energizedhealth.com/Grant. All right. As we continue here, folks, there literally is word that there is no water. Now, why are we at a point where there's no water in Southern California, in many of the fire hydrants? We knew fire season's coming. okay? They knew it. The Santa Ana winds are blowing like never before, up to 99 miles an hour. You can't fly the air support planes that are so instrumental in fighting these fires. So they're unprepared. And all the while, Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, is in Ghana, all right, as she cut $20 million from LA Fire's budget. $20 million. This is Rick Caruso. He's a real estate developer in Los Angeles. He ran for mayor. He lost to Karen Bass. He was a Republican. Then he became an independent. Then he became a Democrat. But he's got some truth telling here.
But their hands have been tied, and they can't fight a fire without water and the resources that are needed. Everybody knew these winds were coming. The other question has to be, were all the things in place to try to, again, mitigate the damage here? But the real issue to me is twofold. We've had decades to go remove the brush in these hills that spread so quickly. And the second is, you got to have water. And my understanding is the reservoir was not refilled in time and in a timely manner to keep the hydrants going. So that's a failure, whether on DWP's part or another city agency. But this is basic stuff. This isn't high science here. And it's all about leadership and management that we're seeing a failure of. And all of these residents are paying the ultimate price for that.
So this is why I call it a liberal inferno. This is why I call it a failure in leadership. This is why I call it unnecessary. Certainly high winds happen. Certainly flames are going to erupt and fires will erupt. But there's ways you mitigate the damage. You clean out the brush. You make sure the reservoirs are filled. And apparently no reservoirs were filled through all of this. It's a disaster. Rick Caruso continued.
That was going to be my next question, is why isn't there water in the fire hydrants? That doesn't make any sense.
You're right. That's a good question. And I think you should start asking, why don't you call the mayor who's out of the country and ask her and get an answer from her?
Well, they say she's on her way back, and that would be a great question to ask her tomorrow if she's at this briefing at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I think there's a lot of people that are outraged by that fact tonight when they look at scenes like this, at businesses that people have worked really, really, really hard to build, and homes that people's entire livelihoods are going up in flames tonight. So for you, watching this and seeing those flames,
it's horrible. And quite frankly, this is what you get. Now, you want to talk about warnings for this? President Trump warned about it a long time ago. This is back when President Trump was in office, specifically talking about California leadership when it comes to these fires.
You've seen what happened. You've talked about the forest fires. Now we're permitting and cleaning up these forests so it will reduce the threat of forest fire as well as creating jobs in these communities.
We're all to do that in California, by the way.
Yes, sir.
California's a mess. We're giving billions and billions of dollars for forest fires in California. There's no reason for those fires to be like they are. They're leaving them dirty. It's a disgraceful thing. Old trees are sitting there rotting and dry. And instead of cleaning it up, they don't touch them. They leave them. And we end up with these massive fires that we're paying hundreds of billions of dollars for to fix. And the destruction is incredible. So I think California ought to get their act together and clean up their forests and manage their forests, because it's disgraceful. What's happening should never happen. I go all over the country and I meet with governors. The first thing they say is there's no reason for forest fires like that in California. So I say to the governor, or whoever's going to be the governor of California, you better get your act together, because California, we're just not going to continue to pay the kind of money that we're paying because of fires that should never be to the extent. They were telling me in a couple of states, I won't even mention their name, it's like a flash. Some grass will burn. It'll be over in minutes. They'll lose 2 acres, 3 acres. At the most, they won't even lose that. And here we are with thousands of acres and billions of dollars every year. It's the same thing every year. And they don't want to clean up their forests because they have environmental problems in cleaning it up. It should be the opposite, because you're going to lose your forests. You're losing them. But it's costing our country hundreds of billions of dollars because of incompetence in California. So the people, I'm speaking now for the people of California, they don't want to see this happen. They're getting destroyed. And it's hurting our budgets, it's hurting our country, and they just better get their act together. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The state of California, your administration just entered into a first-type commitment over the next 20 years to double our vegetation management and forest management.
Right.
I want to thank you for supporting that effort, funding that effort. We acknowledge our role and responsibility to do more.
Look at President Trump's body language during this. I remember this news conference, and look at these idiots with their stupid masks on. And President Trump, I want you to look at his body language. He's not happy with Gavin Newscomb, as he calls him. And President Trump has a true social out that gets to the very heart of this problem. But I'm going to play this flashback, because this all leads back. President Trump put this money out there. They squandered it.
That space, the partnership was significant. It was first in California's history with the U.S. government, but we're going to need to do a lot more in the extent we can provide.
That's something I feel so strongly about. You can knock this down to nothing. You know, you go to Europe and different places in Europe, countries where they're forest countries, and they're very, very strong on management, and they don't have a problem. They really don't have, with, as they say, more explosive trees than we have in California. So thank you very much for your comments. But we're working on that very hard.
To see specifically done on the issue of forest management, and is it possible that it...
You see, President Trump takes this seriously. Now, this is all flashback to when he's in office. California, I'm telling you, I know you didn't vote for him, but I know some of you did, and you had more people vote for President Trump. Actually, more people voted for President Trump in California than any other state in the country. And I know you had more vote for him than the last time around. But you better be grateful this man's here. The problem is you have leadership that squanders the money that people like President Trump, Republicans, send to your state to manage the problem, and you don't manage it.
Also forest management and climate change, it's both things
Well,
at the
I think
same time.
something's possible. I think a lot of things are possible. But with regard to the forests, when trees fall down after a short period of time, about 18 months, they become very dry. They become really like a matchstick. And they get up, you know, there's no more water pouring through. And they become very, very, they just explode.
It's true. President Trump knew it back then, and why would they not listen to him? So now we have this going on in California.
All right, dude. Yeah, let's get out of here. We tried, bro. I'm sorry. We tried our best. Yeah, and when this tree falls, it's over. Sorry, bro. Gotta get out of here. Oh, shit. Holy shit. Is that tree?
Can you imagine leaving your house to Armageddon? And again, do not underestimate the fact that that liberal leadership is to blame for this. You think about cutting the budget, and here's the worst part. Insurance companies are canceling people's fire insurance and earthquake insurance, by the way. Why would they cancel fire insurance? And why am I not mad at the insurance companies? You'd think I'd be steaming mad. You just go cancel people's... No, it's Gavin Newsom's fault they're canceling the fire insurance. I'm going to tell you about that in just a moment, folks. But before I do, let me tell you about my friends over at NFN8. This is get21now.com is the website. If you want to get 21% on your investment money paid monthly, annualized interest paid monthly, get21now.com is the place to go. This is about Bitcoin mining. All right. And it is putting money into Bitcoin mining, but getting a guaranteed annualized rate of return signed into a contract. And the folks at NFN8, get21now.com, will pay you that money, direct deposit into your account. I've been doing this. It's 5 months now. They've lived up to their promises to me. I get my check direct deposited every month like clockwork, and I couldn't be happier. I've owned businesses. I had headaches with that. Where am I going to get 21% guaranteed? Only at get21now.com. Get21now.com. Now, of course, with anything, there's risk in it, but you're going to sign a contractual agreement, and I want you to talk to them about what's right for you, how much is right for you, and see if it fits your needs. But here's the thing. Call them, all right? Get online, get21now.com. When they call you, talk to them, take their phone call. Make sure that you're there when they call, because it's a fabulous deal that I'm really, really proud to have them as sponsors and be able to offer this to you, this 21% annualized interest on your money. And again, Bitcoin mining, but you don't have to worry about the fluctuations, the wild swings. This, direct deposit in your account. Mailbox money, as I like to call it. Get21now.com. Make sure you tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. So canceling insurance. You believe this is what's happening. Gavin Newsom comes out and he caps the rate you can charge homeowners for fire insurance. He says, nope, there's going to be a ceiling. Well, what do you think happens when he caps the ceiling? He's trying to save homeowners money. But this is how backwards liberal thinking is, because they forget that companies aren't in the business of losing money. Being an insurance broker, insurance company, is really just a glorified bookmaker. You figure out how many fires you're going to have for the year, and then you figure out how many people you're paying into insurance, how much that's going to cost, and hopefully you make a profit at the end. If you cap the rate at what you can charge somebody and it doesn't cover the amount of fires, as an insurance company, you've got to leave. It's that simple. I don't blame the insurance companies for leaving. So this is what you get.
Evacuated them to this location?
Yes, this is the location where they brought them. When I got to the nursing home, there were still seniors there, and they were transporting them in ambulances and different vehicles, even in police vehicles, to this location. And from here, as you can see, they're taking them in all different kinds of vehicles. Even the Pasadena SWAT vehicle was transporting these elderly patients, and they're going to different facilities.
So that's nursing homes being evacuated. Again, liberal leadership. You've got this situation of homeowners insurance being canceled in record numbers, by the way. There's a woman that talks about this. And this is her. I've got it here. This is a woman talking about having her insurance canceled just days before all this goes down.
They're waving me down. Hi there.
I know I'm not supposed to.
That's fine. You decided not to leave.
I know I'm not supposed to be here, but this is my parents' home.
I know the feeling.
And they just lost. They got canceled from their fire insurance. So they're dealing with this. They're 90 years old. And through the state of California, because of this, they're 90 years old. That they've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance, and these insurance people decided to cancel their fire.
Now, I understand that she is frustrated with the insurance companies, but as a business owner myself, you can't engage in charity. You can't stay in a state like California that has put so many regulations on you that it makes it impossible to do business. So as Gavin Newsom and the Democrat lunatics running that state try to lower the cost of insurance by mandating insurance companies charge a lower premium, the insurance companies just leave. This is like Greece. When Greece decided to tax the wealthy out the wazoo, you know what happened? The wealthy said, we're leaving, and Greece went bust. You got to understand, people have free will, and free markets work. So you start to control the price of premiums, insurance companies are going to say, we're not doing business here. So I get that she's frustrated. I get she's trying to blame the insurance company. But I'm here to tell this woman, if you want to blame anybody, you blame Gavin Newsom, because I'm sure your parents would have rather paid $100, $200, even $300 more insurance for the year rather than lose it all together.
And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance. So thank you, California insurance companies, supporting residents who pay taxes and love California.
No, so again, I mean, I feel for her, but she's wrong. Thank you, California politicians, for doing this. You just mentioned you pay taxes. Karen Bass deletes the fire budget by $20 million. Now, don't blame the insurance companies for this.
And they wonder why people leave California.
First and foremost, you did get your parents out safely.
I live in Sierra Madre. My parents are in Sierra Madre, but...
And now you know that it is under evacuation as well, north of Sierra Madre Boulevard.
Yeah, I snuck here. You know, there's a will, there's a way. Probably shouldn't do it, but you know what? Under the circumstances, send me to jail. That's fine.
It is unbelievable what's happening here to the neighbors. Your parents' house is still standing. You had a hose. You're doing what you can.
I mean, I have a hose. It doesn't compare to these beloved neighbors that I've known.
So, what a brave lady. Now, I don't recommend doing that by any means. That's the last thing you want to do. And let me tell you why. These fires can change in a heartbeat. Many of you know I worked in mainstream television as a reporter for many years. I was that guy interviewing people like that in fires, hurricanes, tornadoes, you name it. I was there. The natural disasters that scared me the most were the fires. I could control myself and my surroundings for the most part in a hurricane. I knew how to get out of the way of tornadoes. I could see the tornadoes coming. I knew how to keep myself safe in massive storms. In fires, there's no way to predict, especially right now with the wind at 90 miles an hour at some cases and the wind swirling. You might think you have an exit route to the south that's clear. In literally 30 seconds, that exit route could be cut off. I don't recommend hanging around. And normally a garden hose will not save you. But in this case, she did a hell of a job saving her parents' house. So Joel Pollack came on my radio show this morning. He writes for Breitbart.com. Joel Pollack lives in California, one of the areas that are being burned. He had to evacuate from his house. He does not know if his house is okay, but he talked about this issue of the insurance being canceled.
Any college class, and that's what happened. When insurance companies could not increase the prices to cover the expanded risk from fires, and whether you believe in climate change or not, it's just a fact that there have been more wildfires lately. It could be because of bad forestry management, as Trump says, or climate change, like Jerry Brown used to say and Gavin Newsom likes to say. But whatever the reason, there are more fires, so insurance companies are facing higher risks, and so they need to pass those risks on to their customers or they won't be able to sell the policies. So when California capped the premiums, many insurance companies canceled their policies, and I actually called our insurance company to find out if our policy was canceled, and we were told, no, your policy is still okay. But all of us have lived with some anxiety that each new day could bring the cancellation of our fire insurance policies. We are aware that wildfires happen. We didn't think anything as catastrophic as this would happen, but I have fire insurance, and many of my neighbors do not. Mm-hmm. So then that's through no fault of their own. It's simply because of the California rules and because of the decisions their insurance companies might have made, and understandably, because you can't operate at a loss.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't want people to actually blame insurance companies because they're put in a position where you can't ask companies to go and lose money with the way California sets it up. But then I do have the question is there any word on how they pick and choose who gets canceled and who does it? Or is it virtually the company is saying we're ending all fire insurance and you get lucky that you're with the one company that's keeping it?
It does seem to be a matter of luck. I don't know. You'd have to have someone who understands insurance much better than I do to explain that. But I will say that our insurance broker told us before she retired that we could actually expand our fire insurance, and we actually did so, thanks to my wife. So we're feeling fortunate, and we're not worried about our house to the degree I think other people are because we have that insurance policy. But there are people who have lost everything, including some very wealthy people who were just dropped by their carriers because Gavin Newsom made it impossible for these companies to survive in California.
Now, Joel, yesterday, and you've been doing such a great job being evacuated, I couldn't believe how many stories you were still churning out on the fire coverage. Obviously, you're on the front lines of it. You did an article yesterday about the cause of the Palisades fire. Now,
so the cause, Joel was saying that he thinks it may be related to fireworks going off. Now, again, who's shooting fireworks in California? They're under a massive, massive drought right now. It's a tinderbox, that state. So I know we got somebody in the Rumble chat saying, oh, no, the ground is wet and sogged. It is not. The California, and I do radio there every day. Now, I live in Dallas, but I do radio in Los Angeles every day. They're under drought conditions, serious drought conditions. And I believe there's not enough money being spent on education. You have people, look, not a lot of people are smoking cigarettes in California anymore. That's a good thing. I think cigarettes are horrible. But here's what they do smoke, weed, okay? They smoke a lot of joints in California. Fine, have at it, do whatever you want. It's not my thing, but you know what? If it's yours, fine. But here's what I don't want you doing. I don't want you hiking on a hiking trail, sitting down on a nice little bluff and smoking a joint and popping your embers into the ground because it'll start a forest fire. I don't want you breaking glass or bottles in the forest because it hits the sun, it'll start a fire. It literally is that easy right now. So setting off fireworks in Palisades, where the worst of these fires were, is about as bad as it gets. This is a report of a firefighter getting injured, okay? And there were apparently 3 firefighters injured.
Firefighter being rescued by CAL FIRE, it looks like, getting tended to here. And I believe that Sal is on the line with us right now. Sal, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for the great work that you do. So tell us about this incident. This is while fighting the Palisades fire, 1 injured firefighter.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not exactly sure what agency that firefighter was with, but they put out a Mayday call. Apparently, she may have had some sort of blow to the head, and she was in unknown condition. So we were just right down the street filming some of the destruction that ensued prior to that incident, and we got there pretty quick, and we saw CAL FIRE crews as well as some LAFD personnel lifting her on a thing, and they put her on the back of a pickup truck and ended up transporting her out of the fire zone. So
they got her out safe, which is great. But again, if you start to take precautions, one, if you get water into the hydrants, which we're told there's no water in the hydrants in many of them because they didn't fill the reservoirs. So here's what happens when the power goes out. When the power goes out, or they cut the power because they don't want power going down the power lines because California's grid is so fragile. That's another liberal problem. They have not fixed the power grid to secure it. Many of these lines in these areas should be underground. I know that's expensive, but it's a lot less expensive than having to rebuild entire areas. They should be fortified, these power lines. They cut the power to the power lines because if they go down, they don't want a fire started. Fine. But it also cuts the power to the pumps of many of these wells, and many of these water systems work off of giant wells that pump water into the reservoir that then goes to the fire hydrants. And if you can't be pumping water, you can't get water into these neighborhoods, an absolute disaster. So you think about the worst and best of humanity. And I will say, look, these events, the best of humanity is on display, and oftentimes the worst is. Now, the best of humanity is, I've covered far too many tragic natural disasters, murders, crimes, mass casualty events, terrorist attacks, and I see the human spirit and I look at it and I'm in awe. The human spirit and strength of the everyday person that doesn't think that they can get through something is amazing. I promise you watching, are stronger than you can even imagine. I mean this. You look at this and you say, oh, man, how are these people getting through this? If it was you, you find a way. And this is the American spirit. This is what makes me so proud to be an American in this country. And it is what makes us exceptional. Our human spirit is fabulous. I think that is overwhelmingly the majority of Americans. But sadly, we have a minority of Americans that will then take advantage of this. We have fires burning all over the place, and we have looting. This is radio traffic, I found.
Defense 2, go ahead. I could use some more resources up here at Pinecrest. I need because I do have trying to break into homes up here. 14. Copy that. Can you go ahead and give me a rundown of your resources?
Trying to break into homes? You got to be kidding me. There's a special place in hell for you if you're trying to break into somebody's house as the neighborhood is burning around it. They're trying to escape for their lives, leaving their most precious belongings behind, and you're trying to burglarize their home. in the middle of a fire, rot in hell. May the fires get the worst of you in this situation. This is the kind of thing that's just it's sickening, really, when you think about it. It's absolutely sickening. Folks, let me tell you about my friends over at Colonial Metals Group right now, and then I'm going to get back to some of the fire coverage and what it's like. We interviewed a woman who had to evacuate at a moment's notice. We're going to talk to her in a second. But folks, when you look at the liberal leadership, when you look at the battle we have to get America back, when you look at the amount of spending on all of this crazy nonsense and the bubble about to burst, I'm going to tell you, Colonial Metals is spot on when they tell you you ought to start protecting your assets with gold. Now, they can take an existing 401k or IRA and make it a precious metals IRA or 401k. You don't have to do all of it, just some of it. And you start to diversify your portfolio into precious metals. I call it a portfolio protection maneuver for a reason. So many of my viewers, so many of our Rumble crowd viewers are using Colonial Metals with great success, and they're all so happy. Now, I know these guys. I know there's a lot of companies you can choose from. I know these guys. Investing in gold in the Trump era is a good idea, and I want you to talk to them about why. So just go to get your free gold guide, and you go to real easy, freegoldguide.com/grant, freegoldguide.com/grant, or you can call them at 800-458-7356, or just click on the UR code if you've got your phone out, and it'll take you right to the website. But freegoldguide.com/grant, you're not going to regret getting in touch with them. This is about protecting your nest egg you work so hard for. Gold is the only commodity that has stood the test of time as a way to protect that nest egg. So again, Colonial Metals Group getting it done for us. freegoldguide.com/grant. Make sure you tell them that I sent you. All right. So here's the situation. We've got that happening. We've got all of these fires burning, and the fire chief happens to be a DEI hire. Her name is Kirsten Crowley. She's the first LGBTQ fire chief in LA. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, I could give a rat's ass whether you're gay, whether you're transgender, whether you're straight, black, Hispanic, or white. I don't care. All I want is the best, most capable fire chief at the helm of every fire department across the country. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, gay or straight. But apparently LA does. They're so focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, so focused on hiring more women onto the force, that they're losing the mission, and that is to fight fires. This was a news story from a while back, but it shows you the focus of LA and even the media and why LA is falling into this trap. When we have fires burning, who cares about this?
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I said, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
The chief also checks another box when it comes to inclusivity and diversity at this department. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community.
That just kind of opens the door of people that thought, wow, I didn't even know that was an opportunity for me.
Give me a break. You're American. Everything's an opportunity for you. Nobody cares that you're gay. I mean it, unless the only reason you're hired is because you're gay or you're not capable. I love the reporter. He doesn't even realize it, but he said the whole story in his little stand-up there. She checks another box. She checks another box. She's a member of the LGBTQ community. I don't want to check boxes, hiring public servants. I want to hire the best and the brightest available. And that way we go forward. Instead, what do we get? Focused on hiring more women. I don't care you got 115 women. I don't care if you have 0 women. I don't care if you have 500. If they can fight fires, then hire them. And if no women want to be firefighters, which typically has never really been a female job, I'm not telling you that females can't do it. I'm just saying some jobs have more men in them than women. Who cares? LA does. And so now LA burns. It is, folks, what I told you, a liberal inferno. That's absolutely what it is. This is Jennifer Kennedy. She's an LA resident. She's also a fabulous attorney. She represents some of the firefighters that were fired for not taking the COVID shot. But she is suffering from this liberal inferno.
He did. I'll tell you what, it happened really quickly. Number one, remember we had the windstorms in 2011. I was thinking I was preparing for a power outage. So I was busying in the house getting batteries for the lanterns and finding the flashlights and kind of setting things out. I was so proud of myself. And then I literally Googled, what else should I do? And it said, gas up your car. And I'm like, okay. So I ran out. I gassed up my car. I came back and I had a weird hunch. I thought, you know what, maybe I should start packing some things in the car, like documents, passports, whatever, that thing. And so I started doing that. And once I started walking things out to the car, I said, I smell smoke. And I could tell something, you could smell the smoke immediately. So we packed faster and I suggested to my daughter, hey, we might want to think about getting in the car and evacuating. And of course, she was freaking out. That was very distressing, but we feel like we had a bit of a jump. We actually pulled out little rolling suitcases and put some things in the suitcases. And so then by the time we were doing that, though, here's how fast this happened. I took a picture from my backyard looking up Eaton Canyon at 6:45 to say, oh, my God, look at this wall of orange cloud coming. And then within 15 minutes, the sky was totally dark. Ash is falling. It's choking like smoke. And we're running back in the house to get one more thing and our pets. And then we had to get out and on the road to get out of there. So people say it's like a cliche. It all happened so fast that suddenly it looked like the TV scenes we'd seen from the other horrible fires of people, stuck on the road. We were stuck in this crawling traffic down Altadena Drive to go southbound. All of Northeast Pasadena was now evacuating. And but again, I can't complain. We got out just fine. And we wound up coming down to San Gabriel to come to a friend's house and then spent all night trying to get coverage for our little Northeast Pasadena neighborhood. But sadly, of course, all the focus last night was on poor Pacific Palisades. And so I have no idea the extent of what has happened in our neighborhood. But for context, Jen, those stories that you heard last night about the old folks being evacuated from the little old folks home, that's 5 blocks to the east of me. Wow. And there were fires there.
And it's destroyed.
5 blocks away. I don't even know. All we heard was that things were on fire. We heard that I could see a report that the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center had heavy damage. But all the rest of the night, all we had was kind of rumor. People were saying, oh my God, the McDonald's is gone. And then some were saying, no, it was the Bushes. People were saying Pasadena High School was gone, was burning, caught fire. Couldn't tell. We could not get a real story out of. So as of this morning, we don't know what has happened on our street or really in that block of homes.
I can only imagine what this must be like to have the unknown. I know you're certainly blessed that you're out safely, as so many people are, and that is fabulous. What is the situation with fire insurance for you? We're hearing all these things about Gavin Newsom pushing these laws to lower the cap on insurance, and of course everybody gets canceled. Then what is your situation on that front?
Luckily, we're old school Pasadena, and we've had insurance in place for all these decades, and nobody canceled on us. So knock on wood, we have no damage, no need for the insurance. But knock on wood that I believe we've got a policy. It's hard to know for everybody else, but I think we're okay. But again, let's hope we don't have to trigger that.
Yeah, a lot of people learning that they're canceled. You know, here's the crazy part. A lot of people don't even know that they were canceled. Many people calling their insurance, hey, do I still have fire insurance? Gavin Newsom, thank you. So let's review this, okay? The liberal Inferno, brought to you by Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Karen Bass cuts $20 million from LA Fire's budget. We have water that is not in the fire hydrants. Why? Because liberal leadership failed to fill the reservoirs. We have brush and debris in these forests that burn out of control into an inferno that have not been cleaned out. It's called forest management. Liberals in charge of California fail to manage that state. We have insurance now canceled. Why? Because insurance premiums were capped to the point that insurance companies couldn't afford to do business in California, so they leave. There's no education about how to prevent forest fires in California. And we have firefighters that were literally fired for not taking the COVID shot. At least 24 of them in LA, and who knows how many other counties in California. Wouldn't it be nice to have those members of the fire department back? Absolutely. So this is the situation. A liberal inferno that is now burning. Look at this. It's craziness. And I can tell you, as you look at it burn, thank Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Karen Bass is in Ghana.
You're gonna be okay.
The mayor of Los Angeles. Well, this guy
Don't worry about
watching nearly himself burn up.
Look at that.
This may be some of the most intense video I've seen in a long time. How they're not out of there right now, I have no idea. Get out, man, while you got a fighting chance. Wild.
Plastic is gone, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Absolutely wild. So again, thank Gavin Newsom. Thank Karen Bass. Thank the county commissioners. All of them responsible for what turns out to be one giant liberal inferno. All right. I've got an update on the Cybertruck guy that allegedly blew himself up outside of the Trump Hotel. I'm going to play you a segment I did on Real America's Voice because I think it was an important segment. I think it's an important interview I did with a Green Beret who's been talking to a lot of people inside the Green Beret community. Remember, Matthew Livelsberger, the man that is allegedly responsible for the Cybertruck bombing, was a Green Beret, and by all accounts, a very, very good one. I'm going to play that interview for you that I did with him. But before I do that, folks, let me tell you about my friends over at Patriot Mobile. 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT is the number to call. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They call themselves that for a reason because it's true. They believe in the things we believe in. So I'm going to tell you, you're not going to sacrifice service. Switching is totally easy. All you do is call the number, go to the website, patriotmobile.com/grant. The 100% U.S.-based customer service team will help you. My belief is you're going to save money. I did. I have 2 networks on this phone. 1 phone, 2 lines, and 2 networks. I choose from the big 3 networks. So I'm telling you, you're not sacrificing service. But you know, every time you make a phone call, some of that money is going to fund moving the country in the right direction instead of using the other big 3 cell phone companies where every dime you spend moves the country in the wrong direction. It's about a parallel economy. It's about supporting companies that support us. And Lord knows Patriot Mobile supports me. PatriotMobile.com/grant. Really, I mean it. Make the switch today. They're making all kinds of deals to switch. You sign up today, you get a first month free, which is a great deal as well. PatriotMobile.com/grant. 972-PATRIOT. You tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, back to Real America's Voice. This is the interview that I did with Matt Tardio. I'm going to play the lead up to it and then the interview with him because this is all about the Cybertruck guy in Vegas. And take a listen. We start with new video that appears to refute the claim that the suspect, Green Beret Matt Livelsberger, shot himself before the explosion. Now, if you look carefully at this video, his head appears to move just before the explosion. We've slowed it down a few times here. This would lead any reasonable person to believe he was alive if his head is moving. Remember, investigators tell us he used a .50 caliber Desert Eagle handgun to shoot himself, but if you look at the freeze frame of the explosion, Livelsberger's head is completely intact. There it is on your screen. He is upright, something not possible if he just used a .50 caliber handgun to shoot himself in the head. So we still don't have the video leading up to the explosion, the 30 seconds before, which to me is very suspect as to why police are not releasing that. And we can explain why you would shoot yourself before blowing yourself up. Why kill yourself twice? That doesn't really make any sense either. We also know a Cybertruck can drive itself, but the driver has to be alert for that to happen, says Elon Musk. Could someone override that safety feature? Maybe. There's also a summon feature. Call it to a certain location. Maybe that was used. Who knows? Also, with the Cybertruck burned to a crisp and the body unrecognizable, it's odd. The two forms of ID found in the truck, a passport and a military ID, survived the flames with the picture and name intact with only slight burn marks. How convenient, right? Adding to my skepticism of the official story is the email Livelsberger allegedly sent to a former member of military intelligence, Matt Shoemate, who revealed the email on the Sean Ryan show, a man who happens to be former CIA. Make that of what you will, okay? My question is, are they knowingly or even unknowingly being used in all of this? I don't know. They insist they are not. Here's why I'm skeptical of the email. Because besides stating right off the bat, quote, if I do not make it to my decision point or the Mexico border, which would imply Livelsberger was not planning to die, the email also has some very strange anomalies. Words that are recognized by the computer as misspelled or underlined in red. We've all seen that before. There is also a cursor present. Now, you have to look very closely to see it. It's down at the bottom where the underline in red is, but you'll see it there. And the cursor, which makes no sense because those things would only appear in draft emails, okay, not received emails. And Livelsberger uses US 4A, okay, for U.S. Forces Afghanistan. But Livelsberger, as a Green Beret, would most likely use SOTF-A, Special Operations Task Force at Afghanistan. Now, this, which means someone familiar with the lingo, wrote the email, but used the wrong acronym. And then there's this. This is important. His encrypted signal messaging app has his safety number changed before the explosion. Okay, you see that on your screen there. And then his handle, his screen name, changed after the explosion. Now that's impossible unless Signal was hacked, which according to Signal has never been done. So all of these are anomalies that don't make a lot of sense. I've gotten my information from a number of different Green Berets who have been looking into this with everything that they have. Now, also in the email, I want to run this for you. This is police explaining what he wrote in there. This is cut 4 for the guys behind the glass. Roll cut 4.
But then there's a second letter where there's some more excerpts. This one seems to be dated after the fact in that notes application. And in there, you can read a couple of the excerpts. We are the United States of America, the best country, people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took.
So, folks, clearly it appears he wasn't trying to kill anybody if he wrote that. Now, here's the big question in it all. A lot of people say, Grant, this is all conspiracy theory stuff. No, it's not. What I'm telling you are facts. Facts about the IDs that are burned but show his face, facts about his head's not blown to smithereens using a .50 caliber if he allegedly shot himself. Nobody has heard any word of a shot going off before the explosion. All of this is factual. What I can't tell you is a motive. I have no conspiracy or theory for what is happening. I don't know if he's behind it. I don't know if the government's behind it. I don't know anything. But I do know nothing adds up in all of this. Well, joining me now is a former Green Beret himself, a man has been at the forefront of exposing the anomalies in this case, where I got a lot of this information from. He's validated just about everything I have revealed to you, and you can hear most of this on his own podcast as well. I urge you to check it out. Matt Tardio is with us. Matt, welcome to the program.
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You've been doing great work on this.
Thank you.
What do you think is going on here, Matt? Is Livelsberger responsible? Is somebody else responsible? What's happening?
Well, to ask what exactly is going on, I think is the question that everybody wants to know. And unfortunately, I don't think myself or anybody else in our community can tell you exactly what's going on or what's happening. All we can do is point to the inconsistencies and say, this isn't adding up. And I think that's the main cry, the main issue that we're having is it's almost like it's falling on deaf ears when we point these things out. There's just a lot of things that aren't adding up about this, particularly about the email and how the entire incident went down. Just a lot of things that just, they're not adding up for us.
All right, you're a Green Beret. You've been talking to a lot of the Green Berets. I know a few of them. Everyone I've talked to said this guy was a great soldier, that he wouldn't have done something like this. And we have this signal messaging app. I think that's the most disturbing of all, because the safety number changes before, and then his name, his screen name changes after the explosion. What is that about, Matt?
Yeah, that's a good question, what that's about and how that occurred, particularly after. And it was something that we talked about, you know, online inside of the space with Sean Ryan last night. But more than that, more than just that safety number changing afterwards, it's also, you know, other mysterious things that have happened in these different signal threads that he was involved in. Inside of one signal thread, particularly that had multiple users on it, all of his previous messages ended up getting deleted. And to take that, you have to understand what you said about Matt is absolutely correct. You know, he was a very good Green Beret. He was very mission dedicated. He loved his family, and he did his best. He was always pushing and driving forward. That's from my accounts of when I was working with him, as well as current members that, you know, are still out there working with him, or were at least. And, you know, unfortunately, he was, from my understanding, moving into this other position to try to get some more family time. He moved into that position back in November. That involved drones. And he was just kind of in the learning process of doing drones. I've seen some of the, like the very first drone that he ended up building, for example. It's not perfect. And the deal is inside of this message, inside of this group chat on Signal, which is encrypted, he ends up having all of the Signal messages inside of that group chat disappear that would make him look as if he was a novice. So all of those are now gone. It's astonishing when you start adding up that his safety number changed as well. And it was also astonishing that the safety number being changed, not just from the source that I have, but also come on Sean Ryan. I figured his name was a Shoe, the Terminal CWO Shoe. He ends up coming out and saying that he also noticed his Signal safety number changing as well after the detonation. So good luck explaining that one. Signal's supposed to be one of those more secure, or the secure app that has yet to be hacked as far as anybody is really aware of. And so if that's the case, now we have a whole new issue taking place. And the question goes, if you are now capable of hacking into Signal, what else is it that you're capable of doing? If you can hack into somebody's Signal account and you can change codes and you can delete messages and you can make people appear in one way, what other technology are you capable of doing? Which I think is where people are getting into the Cybertruck quite a bit.
And that would be, could you override it so it drives itself? Clearly, you know, there's no signature from the shot going off that police say happened before this explosion. I don't know why you'd kill yourself twice. His head is completely intact. Let me play a clip from you from Matt Shoemate, who was the one who received the email, allegedly. I just have questions about both of these guys, quite frankly. It's not that I don't trust them. I don't know. They may be being used. It's just the fact that they're both in intelligence, one's a C. It just adds to the mystery of all of this. But he has a theory. Let me play this for you and see what you think.
So this is what happens. You get a Tesla because you know it can drive itself to the hotel, the Trump Tower. You put a body in it, roll it up. You don't want to kill anybody because that's not the message you're trying to send. You're not trying to level the tower or kill a bunch of people. So you load it up with fireworks and a bunch of junk to send a message. And we know that his signal number or his signal safety number changed. That can't be done unless you're inside that signal account. And a lot of people conjecture, was the FBI inside his signal account, whatever else. But what if he accidentally changed his safety number, goofed up there? He rolled a body up in a Tesla specifically because a Tesla can drive itself up to the tower, and did what he did to send a message to expose his stuff. And he's still alive out there somewhere.
All right, that's Sam Shoemate, former military intelligence, on with Sean Ryan. He's the one who received that email we were talking about, saying a lot of the things that you were saying, but then his theory is maybe Livelsberger is behind it and is alive someplace. Now, I've been quick to say, I don't have a theory for the conspiracy theory yet. I've got a lot of these anomalies, but no theory. Do you have a theory?
I mean, I could go with a theory, or I could tell you about the odd experiences that have happened in my life in connection over the last, 30 days or so here in the United States, which has been, me getting information from anonymous people pretending to be other members of our previous ODAs that are pretending to be members on those ODAs who have connections with both myself and Matt in an attempt to kind of drive us a little bit deeper. And it's a problem when you start talking about guys that are on active duty status within the SF community whose information is now out there and other people are utilizing it and contacting us and telling personal stories and have personal events of these other individuals in an attempt to get us to believe who they are. So I have an issue number one that, a possible leak of personal identifying information along with several other things are kind of out there and floating around. And if I was receiving things like that at the time, is it possible that maybe, Matt was receiving things like that at the time as well? As far as his theory behind it about, wanting to send a message and everything else, there's no way he could possibly know the answer to that. And I couldn't either. There could also be perfectly good explanations. The coroner made a mistake and said, it was an intraoral gunshot wound prior to detonation when it could have happened, as he was burning alive inside of the vehicle because it didn't blow like he wanted. There's a lot of things that, can be easily explained. But the problem is we have so many things that are not easily explained and they are continuing to stack and add up. And every new piece of evidence we get, instead of answering questions, it just creates more. I don't know how else to explain
Here's
that.
the thing I want everyone to do. I want everyone to follow your podcast. I don't really ever say that to many people, but it's been fascinating to watch. Can you tell people where they can find you, Matt Tardio?
Yeah, they can find it over on YouTube, Speak the Truth Podcast.
All right, Speak the Truth Podcast. And Matt Tardio, thank you for your service to America, and thank you for coming on tonight. Keep us posted on this. I'm going to stay on. I'm going to keep watching you too, my friend. And I appreciate you coming on.
Right, absolutely.
Have a good one. Thank you. All right, so that is Matt Tardio, Speak the Truth Podcast. I urge you to check it out. It's good stuff. And really, this is a very, very important story that I promise you we are going to stay on, no doubt about that. Before I let you go, folks, look, you see what's going on in California. Do you have prescription medications? Are you ready for the absolute worst? You look at the fires. Drugstores are not going to be open, by the way, if you're in one of those cities that's affected by these fires. What if you need prescription medications? This is one of the wellness company kits. 8 of the most common prescription medications, antiparasitics, antivirals in here, all made out directly to you. There's a little guidebook, the blue book in here, in the safe use of all of these medications. I've used them to treat strep throat already. I've used the ivermectin in here to treat COVID. Yes, there's ivermectin in here, still hard to get in some places across the country. But the wellness company is helping you be prepared, but you've got to take the step yourself to do that. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off. And I promise you will not regret it. I've got ammunition, I've got water, I've got food, I've got power supply. And we're getting ready for a snowstorm here in Dallas. I want to be ready. I'd rather have this kit and never, ever need it than not have it and most certainly need it. And I've got a kid. I want to make sure that I do my best to take care of him and protect him as well. And so that's important too. The Wellness Company, TWC.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT. All right. Quick update to the story about Matthew Livelsberger. All right. So Livelsberger, which we just heard from Matt Tardio, the Green Beret, this is them saying the email that I pointed out with the spell check and the cursor in it, the FBI is saying it definitely came from Livelsberger. Take this for what it might be.
Spencer Evans, Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division. In terms of a question about the validity of what Livelsberger put out to the public, either in the two-page manifesto or additional documentation we're discovering, we're not speaking to the content. I can say, as Sheriff Corrin described and others, it runs the gamut. I mean, he's talking about feeling that he was, surveilled, guilt. You can tell there's, some anguish there, some frustration with the government. I mean, there's a whole host of things. So we haven't gotten into, what's legitimate, what's not. The only thing that, out of an abundance of caution, in as much as there's Department of Defense equities that speak to sources and methods or something else that would endanger folks overseas, that's not being released. But beyond that, we haven't vetted any of his writings to determine, what's legitimate and what was in his own head.
All right, wait a second. Endanger people overseas? Is that something that's part of this?
What's not. The only thing that, out of an abundance of caution, in as much as there's Department of Defense equities that speak to sources and methods or something else that would endanger folks overseas, that's not being released. But beyond that, we haven't vetted any of his writings to determine, what's legitimate and what was in his own head.
So there is then the possibility that he had contacts overseas that would be endangered by information that they found? What is this about? Again, the mystery continues. I don't know what was in Matthew Livelsberger's head when he went in there, if this is even him. Remember, the DNA does not match the DNA of his son. So a lot of questions that I have, and I still don't trust the FBI. That's the shame of it. Until Kash Patel gets in there and can get to the bottom of who we can trust and who we can't, I have no trust in this agency, which is really sad because it used to be one of the greatest law enforcement agencies on the face of the planet. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I'm so grateful to all of you. GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com. We're going to have the Real America's Voice show tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I hope you tune in to that. Of course, the podcast. Sign up for the email list, GrantStinchfield.com. Social media, Stinchfield1776 on just about every single platform imaginable. Stinchfield's Army rolls. I'm grateful to all of you watching. We will see you tomorrow, no doubt about it.